Head and Shoulders is a tale about love, sacrifice, and the consequences of putting aside your personal dreams for the sake of a relationship. And, as you'll see, it is deeply personal for the author F. Scott Fitzgerald. In Head and Shoulders, we meet Horace Tarbox, a brilliant but socially awkward young man. He's an academic genius, so immersed in his studies that the idea of love seems distant. But then he meets Marcia Meadow. Marcia is the complete opposite of Horace, charming, outgoing, and popular. Their connection is immediate and intense. They get married, and soon, Marcia is pregnant. To support his growing family, Horace leaves the academic world behind and makes money as a gymnast. After she can no longer work due to her pregnancy, Marcia begins to pursue a career as a writer. And much to Horace's surprise, she becomes quite successful. Within the story, many connections can be made from the character Horace Tarbox to Fitzgerald himself. Fitzgerald, like Horace, was an aspiring academic who found a woman that he formed a strong connection with and wanted to marry. Tarbox goes on to give up his academic potential to make ends meet and support his wife. This is exactly what Fitzgerald was afraid of. He did not want to give up on his goal of being a serious author for a relationship. Now, here's where things get tricky. Horace, once so focused on his academic dreams, starts to regret leaving them behind. Watching Marcia succeed as a writer, something he gave up on, makes him bitter and resentful. This internal struggle is where Fitzgerald's personal fears and struggles with love and ambition really shine through. At one point in the story, Horace reads some of Marcia's writing. His reaction is not good. He's harshly critical, calling her work sprawly and pointing out constant mistakes. He can't help but to belittle her writing, which doesn't meet his high academic standards. This is where we start to see Fitzgerald's true message. By letting us into Horace's mind, Fitzgerald shows us the danger of abandoning your passions for a relationship. Horace's bitterness isn't just about Marcia's writing, it's about what he gave up in order to support her. And for Horace, the regret is overwhelming. In the same section, Fitzgerald also writes, he began to turn over in his mind his own half-forgotten dreams. These repressed dreams started to come back into the forefront of Horace's mind and seriously affected him. The realization that his academic dreams are now out of reach, while his wife's pathetic writing gains popularity, leaves Horace in a jealousy-fueled resentment of his wife and marriage. Now, if this story feels somewhat personal, that's because it is. Fitzgerald was going through something similar when he wrote this. At the time, he was courting a woman named Zelda Sayre, who would later become his wife. Zelda was unsure of marrying Fitzgerald because he wasn't financially stable. He was still trying to prove himself as a successful author, and just like Horace, Fitzgerald worried that love would force him to abandon his dreams of becoming a serious writer. Fitzgerald was afraid that if he gave up on his dreams for Zelda, he might end up resenting her for it, just like Horace resents Marcia. So, the character of Horace is, in many ways, a reflection of Fitzgerald's own fears. Would he lose himself in a relationship? Would he regret giving up his ambitions? As the story unfolds, Horace begins to remember his own half-forgotten dreams. These are the academic dreams he set aside when he chose to support Marcia. Fitzgerald uses Horace's internal thoughts to express the idea that sacrificing your passions for love might lead to resentment, not just towards the other person, but towards yourself. Fitzgerald holds both himself and others to extremely high standards in writing and academic work. Using Horace as a reflection of himself, he conveys his dedication to correctness through precise phrasing. Fitzgerald uses phrases like constant mistakes and weird punctuation to show the reader that Horace is extremely critical of his wife's work. The choice to describe Marcia's writing as sprawly shows that not only does Horace find her attempt at composition to be pathetic, but even something as basic as her handwriting to be inadequate and sloppy. As Horace reads her work, he is constantly degrading her and her writing style because it is not written in an academically traditional way. The language used shows that Horace is embarrassed for her and believes it to be a pitiful attempt at writing. Horace's negativity towards his wife's writings even overflows into him having regrets about their relationship. Horace cannot see past the mechanical errors in her work, and this arrogance that he has blinds him from the potential that her writing has. Throughout the story, Fitzgerald leaves traces of the criticisms that he holds for writing that is not conventional. Fitzgerald uses Horace to embolden his position of keeping to his extremely high standards for writing. While Fitzgerald could have switched to a more popular writing style that might sell better, he chose to stick to his traditional academic standards of writing. Horace cannot appreciate Marcia's success because he's so consumed by his academic ego and feelings of failure. Fitzgerald, through Horace, is warning us, if we focus too much on the relationship and not enough on our own goals, we might lose sight of who we are, and resentment will follow. Through Head and Shoulders, Fitzgerald is giving us a cautionary tale. He's asking us to think carefully before sacrificing our personal ambitions for love. In the end, if we abandon our dreams, we might end up resenting the very relationship we thought we wanted. Fitzgerald used Horace to reflect his own fears about love and ambition. He shows us the cost of giving up on our dreams for the sake of a relationship. If we lose ourselves in someone else, the emotional toll can be huge. So, while love is important, do not forget to nurture your own dreams also.